The King of Podcasts Radio Network proudly presents the Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us. Welcome to the third night of 4 nights of coverage this week here on the Wrestling is Real podcast. Had the initial episode on Wednesday going into Thursday, where we went ahead and previewed WrestleMania, and we looked at the first night of NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver. We did night 2 on Thursday night, recorded that, and now here we are, WrestleMania night 1, WrestleMania 37, and tonight we're going to go ahead and cover night 1. We're going to go through it. I know there's going to be a lot of other podcasters out there doing their coverage tonight as well, and God bless them. And I know we're going to probably have some very obvious, some takes that everybody's going to have the same of. I hope to have something a little bit different for all of you out there, coming at it from a different way. But for the most part, I saw nothing but positive feedback throughout the Twitter stream. And with the obstacles they had at the beginning of the night, just to let you know, okay, I'm familiar with Raymond James Stadium, and I'm familiar with Tampa, Florida. So with what it's worth, Tampa, Florida can have storms in the spring. Now, notice the other thing, too, is that, the last couple times they did come to Florida, when they went to Orlando, they went to Miami, no rain. But also because of the fact that, for whatever reason, they normally go ahead and run WrestleMania at the end of March and maybe at the very beginning of April. So, again, we're getting this roughly 2 weeks later than normal. But that was because of the fact that they wanted to make sure with the pandemic, what was going on, that everything could be done safely and done effectively. So they did it. And it was great. So, we saw how the Super Bowl went well, and we see how this event went well. By the way, they did exceptional work. The stage looked fantastic. It was, I'm glad it wasn't like something that was like completely crazy. But again, they're not doing all the major thing where they didn't have to do much when it came to the staging. They already had the pirate ship, like that's already built into the Raymond James Stadium in the first place. And then they put the video wall up on the top of the upper deck. That looked really good. Again, the look of everything looked fantastic. The crowd was all up and into it. I don't think you could have really graded this show too badly, no matter how bad the matches were tonight, because the crowd was good. But that's beside the point. This card was solid tonight. This was an A-. It was. We had a couple of botches, a couple of matches that, well, there was at least one match I really didn't feel good about. That's the women's tag team turmoil. But, I understand where they went with that match. But otherwise, every other match was really good. I really did enjoy it. And I gave us 7 matches tonight and some real exceptional things. Really exceptional. We got to see a couple of potential stars being put a spotlight on. Not instant stars. But what I'm saying is some spotlights were put on this program, and there are a number of names now on this first night that will definitely stand out overall when it comes to what we're going to see from them now. Going forward, there's some names that, on Raw, look kind of interesting now. I felt like there were certain things where, they felt like they needed to do something where they could redeem a couple of stars. So a couple of matches they were able to do that. But there wasn't a match that really felt like it fell short. I think everyone was good. Look, for me, Tag Team Turmoil match, that could have been a pre-show match for what it mattered to me. I didn't know if it really felt it was good there, but again, there was a reason for it, and they had a reason to get to that. But I'm going to get past that now. The rest of the night, we got to get into the rest of this. Now, first of all, the storms, the weather delay, if you look on the graphic of tonight's program, I actually put a graphic up on Twitter where I showed where I'm located in West Palm Beach, Florida, and I'm about 3.5 hours, a good 3.5 hour drive up the West Coast to get to Tampa, to get to Raymond James Stadium itself, right off of 275 and Dale Mabry Boulevard. I know it. I've been there. It's a great stadium to watch football. It's a great stadium to watch anything. I've watched college football games there. I've watched pro football games there. It is a fun place. It's a great stadium. So I bet those guys, the fans there are having a great time. That place is awesome. They had a big concourse, so if they need to get upstairs and need to get dry, they could do that. And for the fact it was, 35 minutes? That's pretty customary. For the fact that we had lightning, we had hail, by the way. Actually, we had either sleet or hail outside my house. So whatever that rain was, it was pretty significant. It wasn't just a rainstorm. And I don't know what they were going to do, if they were going to continue to go on with a rainstorm or not, but obviously it was lightning or thunder and hail. So they decided to go ahead and do the right thing, hold back, let the storms get past, because it went by quickly. Again, about 30 minutes, and I think that WWE did a very good job of handling the situation as best they could. I think, really, that's got to be tough on them. So a couple of mistakes they might have had later on in the night could be understood, especially on the, production front or some of the technical things, camera shots, things like that. I can understand where things might have been a little bit off, because obviously that's a show that wants to be done perfect. And I can imagine Vince in the back being totally shooken up because of the fact that we had gotten to America the Beautiful. BB Rexa did a great job seeing Rhea Ripley back there in tears, emotionally. A lot of emotion came by tonight. We could see quite a bit of that going on, which was, very, very uplifting, very wonderful to see. And then Vince gave a really passionate speech, short, to welcome the fans back. It was very appropriate. It was very timely. It was a well done thing for him to do, to come back and welcome fans back to WrestleMania. That was really great. And I know as a fan, I appreciated him coming across the way he did. It felt sincere. It felt heartfelt. That was good. With that said, they were able to go through some promos, continue to kind of just fill time. They did a good job of filling time. Everybody doing good promos back there, no question. You could have Kevin Owens back there. You could have MVP and Lashley. You could have Drew McIntyre. The little tete-a-tete between Drew and MVP, or Drew and Bobby Lashley before the match, a little stirring up. I love that. It actually felt really good. So they were trying. They were doing enough what they could do to fill time. They got to it. They said, okay, look, 30 minutes. We can make it. We can make it work. So getting started around like 8:35, no problem. And the weather didn't cause any more problems. Like I said, good. The only time I even remembered was the fact that Mandy Rose slipped on the ramp. That's about it. And I also noticed the hair extensions she got now. I guess the short hair is gone. That's better off. I like her better with the long golden goddess tresses. What can I say? Now, with that said, Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. Hey, this was a really great match to start off with. I didn't have any problem with this being the start off. And you know what? When you think about it, I understand why they put this in the card where they did, because Drew wasn't in the plans for Drew to win. Now, I thought they were going to probably let Drew win. I figured that was what it was going to be. I prefer Bobby Lashley keeping the title and going on forward. I like him here in this role. I really like Bobby Lashley. I want him to be champion. I've wanted him to be champion ever since he came back. So they screwed things up when they had him to do the Sami Zayn stuff and the sisters and all that crap. I'm glad that's all gone. Now, Bobby Lashley is the star that was, and by the way, the same star, which Impact Wrestling, they put on their Twitter feed, they showed the match that Drew McIntyre, or it was Drew Galloway, and Lashley had at Slammiversary 2016. Thank you very much for the call back there. And that was a good match, by the way. Very good match. And Bobby Lashley here, very much that same star now, filling that role of the monster that he is. He's just good. It's just good. Him and MVP. This is also I actually took notes tonight as well. This is how much I was really into everything, what's going on. Lashley winning was the right move, because the truth was, this explains the split up of the Hurt Business. Because the Hurt Business putting them together, and this is not a shot at Shelton Benjamin or Cedric Alexander, but having Bobby Lashley in the role with MVP, the Brock Lesnar mold, I call it. Right now, we're getting that as we speak. This works. This is the role of the heel that WWE does best. Okay? Because the Brock Lesnar role, whether however you felt about it, no matter how part-time he was meant to be special when you had the associate, the advocate, if you will. Not the manager, but the advocate. Paul Heyman, now working with Roman Reigns. Basically, it is a carbon copy of the Brock Lesnar character, except for the fact that Roman Reigns' character and the Samoan heritage is just special. The head of the table is just a great setup. It's natural. It feels it's taken from real truth. And it works so well. And the Bobby Lashley character, this almighty Bobby Lashley, this is money. It's so good. He is one of the best things to watch on Raw. And MVP, along as the mouthpiece, and again, lastly with the occasional necessary talking back in the promos, it's just strong. All of that's good. And it's the point that WrestleMania the matches were going to be good. We always say that, and it does, more or less, every time the matches are going to be good. I always complain about the build-up. Always complain about the build-up. Now, it doesn't mean that certain stars don't get certain kind of a level, but again, the way to get there, man, it's such shit. But right here at WrestleMania, the payoff. Somehow, some way, the payoff happens. And Bobby Lashley was on point. He looked great in this match. Drew McIntyre, by the way, looked great in defeat. And Drew McIntyre doesn't need the belt. He's really good right now. He is in a tremendous spot. You put him in any feud you want because Drew McIntyre is a star. He is now a star. You can always bring him back up. He's one of those guys who can always vouch for the title. He can always chase. He is the babyface. And for the most part, they need, really, WWE needs to keep Drew McIntyre as this white meat babyface. He has to stay this for the sake of the company. And they must remember to keep him strong and not stupid. This is an opportunity to create a real babyface that's going to stand for a while. This is very important. Drew McIntyre is the role model by which how you build a babyface. He beat Brock Lesnar. He got to his way here. He beat Randy Orton, got to his way once again. And then it was the fact of how the match was done, where Bobby Lashley found the way to win the belt after all was said and done. And here, again, but it was the stupid way where we didn't get the payoff where Lashley and McIntyre should have taken on each other. Well, no, instead we had the Miz bullshit. I know the reason why they did it. I guess they needed to fill some time and do something between now and Fastlane. It was stupid to do that. I would have preferred that Lashley and McIntyre would have been tete-a-tete from Royal Rumble all the way to now, but we never going to get that. It wasn't going to happen. It was stupid. And also, I'll give some credit that WWE did some things right now with the whole thing with the Miz, and then leading up to McIntyre, this buildup of trying to get other stars to come in, and then if it wasn't a Hurt Business, somebody to take out McIntyre. It didn't happen, but Bobby Lashley, even as the heel, trying to use help. He was the bullshit heel right there, leading up to the match. But tonight was a strong heel, did not use any help, and was just looked amazing. Very good match. Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, hell of a start for the opening match. Could have been main event, but obviously because Bobby Lashley's going over, they didn't put it at the end. So it's not about the placement in terms of why Bianca and Sasha got here to the main event match. It's because the feel-good moment was at the end. To see Bianca win the belt at the end of the night, what a feel-great moment to finish the night off. That's what that was. So Bobby Lashley winning here as the monster heel, continuing to instill his almighty legacy, works. This was a very effective, very well done match. Can they just keep this up? When you have gold like this, please keep it polished. Do not tarnish this. For both guys, you have them built up at such a great point right now. They're at a crescendo of their career. They're at their prime, their peak. You can only do better with them. Do not fail these guys. They do not deserve it. Especially after them having to go away to Impact Wrestling or to MMA or whatever else they did. Well, for last year was MMA and going to Impact. And then, again, Galloway or now McIntyre having to go away as well. These guys getting back at WrestleMania to start the night off, being given the crown position of the first live match for a crowd in over a month and a day. To get that here was great because then you had these guys were the ones who were representing the company, the first to start off a hot start to the night. And these two matter so much. And it's a testament to both of them that both of these guys left this organization, came back, and both became main eventers. That gives me so much promise right now. I really appreciate what they have done because I feel better now about how some stars, if they go ahead and come back, there is a chance for them to get the redemption and to be vindicated because they were supposed to be the stars that they are now. And because of the chip on their shoulder, they earned their way back. And they're here now, and they deserve it wholeheartedly. Let's move quick along right now into the tag team turmoil match. I thought it was torture. Okay. When I was listening to the preview on Wrestling Observer live, Okay, Jim Valley, good to see him back talking and back after being sick for a long time. And Brian Alvarez and Mike Sempervive, they talked about the fact of how the storyline should have been Carmella and Billie Kay win the match, then have the match where Reginald screws over Nia and Shayna and goes back to Carmella. They should have told that story. What an excellent story to tell. Would it have been too predictable? I mean, maybe for some people, but I think they could have done that. I mean, it was enough where Carmella did what she did to Reginald, and they could have played that off. And that would have made the match mean something, the tag team match tomorrow. But they're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to get strong women versus strong women, which that could do okay. I mean, you did build up in a short amount of time Natalya and Tamina to look very strong and, monster-like, if you will, to get the match with Nia and Shayna. So there might be an interesting match to watch. It's going to be a new feud. We don't know how it's going to work out. Maybe we're just not going to get anything. Maybe they'll just build this and then they'll continue to go on after this and to continue to have this feud between these four. I don't know. But I didn't care for much about it. So Carmella, Billie Kay get knocked out. Riot Squad had a nice little appearance, but they don't have anything behind them. I think they give the Riot Squad a lot of time, and they don't feel like there's anything to do more to give them the tag team belts if it's going to make any difference. They don't. Again, they split them up, they put them together, and that's it. I don't think they feel anything at all where they could do something with that. So that's it. Moving along, then you had Seth Rollins against Cesaro. Now, for Cesaro, I really say a few things about him that, it's one of those things where I feel good about the victory for him. Let me be the first to say that. But this is the thing where some of these Ring of Honor mainstays that came to WWE 5-6 years ago, the guys that went into NXT in the early days of NXT, made their way up. Or when it comes to that matter, actually, Cesaro was even before that, FCW. So, in FCW, I actually saw a video where Tyler Black and Claudio Castagnoli actually had a match together in FCW at something called a Summerama. I don't know what show that was, but it was a local Florida show, and they faced each other. But back in AEW, pre-Ring of Honor, they actually were a tag team together. But again, Seth Rollins and Cesaro have so much history with each other. But I go ahead and give the Ring of Honor because Ring of Honor was when they really made their names. That's where they were seen before they made it into WWE to be part of NXT. Because as we know, Cesaro was brought in. He wasn't really so much of the NXT part as he was of FCW because he was one of the mainstays left of FCW. And, put him into the ECW part, put him through a number of different ways. And again, with all the years he's put in to being here, like I always forget about how long he's been in this whole system. And my problem is how are they going to get him over as a main eventer? Because if this is the person that they think that's going to be the next opponent for Roman Reigns, we need an evolution of the character. Because Cesaro, okay, great as the bar was Sheamus. We can all agree with that. I know I liked him with together with Sheamus. I did like him paired with Paul Heyman and CM Punk at one point, but it wasn't there because of the fact that I think this is where, no matter if Paul Heyman was the speaking, the voice for Cesaro, the Swiss Superman. The thing is, with Cesaro, it's the novelty, and they've made it where it's the gimmicks that he has, his tests of strength, his uppercuts, the big swing. Those are the things that make Cesaro. So the fact that he's like, superiorly strong, upper body, and he could do so many different things, a test of strength. That's different and unique from everybody else. He's a strong style wrestler, but it's not enough to make him the kind of main eventer that WWE has. Anywhere else, that's a different story, but I haven't seen anything yet to make him get to that point. And it's because this is not the style. Like, it's a different style. That's what makes him so unique. But the problem is that with Cesaro, listen, he's a fan favorite. He's always been Cesaro section, right? But my problem is that it's to turn him off the mid card, off that upper mid card to fan favorite, to main eventer. I want to get him there. He deserves that at this point of his career. I mean, that's what he was meant to be here for in the first place. And he did that passionate promo on SmackDown, the post SmackDown show, right? Talking smack. He did really passionate promo a few weeks ago with Paul Heyman. And the fact is, I need to see Cesaro do something more. If you want to have the program with Roman Reigns, this is where you do it. If you can change and get away from all the uppercut swings, test of strength stuff, all this showmanship, and get to the part where he's a believable main eventer that could absolutely beat Roman Reigns for the title, for the Universal title, then I'll buy into it. But I can't buy into him now. I want to buy him to him, but we can't. It just isn't that time yet. And for Seth Rollins, they're going to take what he's done. Hey, listen, Seth Rollins is just doing the job and doing it for Cesaro. I mean, this is where, again, a couple of matches on the show we're going to get tomorrow, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, where you got two long-term friends and buddies on the road, Ring of Honor dance partners, working together to make a great match, which, I'll give, at least you get them to do that. There wasn't much to the Seth Rollins Cesaro thing, but again, these guys can work with each other. They can work with each other well. They had a very good match, and Cesaro getting the win is significant, and hopefully that significance of this win will be the leading up to either him or Big E or somebody being an opponent for Roman Reigns down the line after this whole Daniel Bryan Edge stuff, where I still believe Roman Reigns wins tomorrow and retains the Universal title. Now, no matter if you have night 2 and it's not going to close the night with the kind of finish that people might think, where Edge or Daniel Bryan, after all that they said, will be able to be Universal Champion. I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think you take the belt off of Roman Reigns at all. I think there's room for other stars that have been, cutting the brakes, like a Big E or a Cesaro, that need to be the next opponents to step up as the number 1 contender for the Universal title. Just saying. So moving along, the Raw Tag Team Championships, AJ Styles and Omos versus the New Day. Okay, New Day's been on top so many different times. They've held these belts, again, Big E said 11 times. So this match was meant for Omos. AJ Styles doing quite a bit of the match. Again, good classic tag team strategy here where AJ Styles runs the bulk of the match. New Day gets to run through, and then Omos comes in. And when I look at Omos, okay, the look was good, the moth thing, whatever. But again, we didn't know. We didn't know what to expect with Omos. We have not seen anything from him for months. And this goes back to Raw Underground. So now we get to see him. And the way they position him is classic. Now, people wanted to say the Andre the Giant type, because this is a guy that people are going to wait and see if they can take off his feet. That's what we're going to try to see. So I think of Big John Studd. I think of King Kong Bundy. This is one of those guys we want to see if he's going to get taken off his feet. If somebody can slam him, if somebody's going to take him down. Because this was all strongman moves. This is all big man moves. This was big man. This is what Vince loves. Almost is statuesque. He's huge. And he's menacing. And you really didn't get much of what he was going to be. And AJ Styles has been a great catalyst to help get Omos as this mysterious character to a spot to where we are today. And then Omos, in no time flat, and just easily decimates the New Day just like that. And people are wowed. Amazing. Omos got over tonight. And now AJ Styles gets to be a part of this. And, in his level of his career, if he could take a step back, be the mouthpiece for Omos, and still work and to be tag team champions and do what they're going to do, great. It almost could be a really good monster heel. And AJ Styles ring right there with him will just really just help out. It was a good pairing, very interesting pairing. I didn't really understand what it was all about, but I can see where they went with this. It didn't come out great all the way leading up to it, but we're at a good spot now with Omos and AJ Styles. Now, on to the ladder. The steel cage match, Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon. Okay, we know that the build for Shane and Braun was shit. This match over-delivered. This match, far beyond my expectations. So I could believe that Shane thought, when he initially thought of this idea, I want to work with Braun because I think it brains over Braun, and I can make the storyline stick. Well, Shane, you couldn't do that. You suck at building these storylines. You suck at delivering the storylines. The stuff with The Miz, I didn't care for. Kevin Owens, I didn't care for. But again, it's the matches that matter. And, Shane McMahon and The Miz, The Miz falls off. They did that whole thing where they fell off some big scaffolding, whatever. And Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon did what they did there. And Shane McMahon fell off the damn, steel cage, or off the Hell in a Cell, right? He got his crazy bump in. But this is the thing. The story that they told, I know, all the way to building up the shitty storyline that Braun Strowman was stupid, and he wanted to make sure that people wouldn't be called stupid, and he was going to defend all of those people that were called stupid. So, okay. But what happened here with Braun Strowman was what we expect of him, and something that was been missing from this character. Again, he's also, remember, he's a strong man. He's like one of the world's strongest men type. This guy is strong as shit. He's a shit brick house. He is jacked up now. He looks amazing when it comes to the look. This is a big man that should be over. But he has been big showed. It's so bad for him. Tonight could have been a turnaround. This might have been his best match. I really believe that. So what did it for me was, Shane getting Jackson Riker and Elias, the usual kind of thing, and then the gimmicks upstairs so that he rigged the steel cage match. Yeah, that all worked out to make Shane look smart. So the storyline of the match was good. Like using the storyline of the match, that actually worked effectively. But then the turnaround, where Shane McMahon thought he was going to go ahead and get over the top and was going to go ahead and get out of the cage. Now, whoever thought of this spot, it was really good. Okay, to have Braun go ahead and grab Shane through the fence as Shane's about to go out. And for Braun, again, this test of strength, this guy is, he's him like with Mark Henry, like these two guys, just mastodons and just, incredible strength. Just to go ahead and just take the damn fence off its post and just yank, and just get it right off. That guy's just strong as shit, okay? As we saw, what was the stuff when they were doing the challenge, the Facebook challenge, whatever that show was, the mixed match challenge. I remember doing the feat of strength with Alexa Bliss as a tag team partner and all that. Like, again, that's the whole point. This guy's just a big, strong, this is the part they're missing. And then seeing Braun pull that damn chain off and drag Shane in, that was an amazing look. That's a WrestleMania moment. You're all going to remember. It will look great. It looked good. The facials were great. All that was really good. And Braun selling the leg really good throughout the night. He did an excellent job of selling. I got to give him credit for that. He was really good, strong, yelling away at Shane. He was playing it up, was pissed off. And then him getting up that cage, that's not a small guy. What is he, 6'8", 350? That's not a small guy. Like, I don't see Big Show doing that, getting up to that high. He could get up to the cage, but not where Braun Strowman got up to the top of the cage, got up to the rigging, and was able to go ahead and, choke slam damn Shane McMahon off the top of the cage and throw him down. That looked good. I'll admit, I'm pretty much almost marked right there because that looked pretty good too. But what really marked me out was the damn cage pull. Like, to get that cage open like that looked really good. That was impressive. I really liked that. Now we're going to move on to this match. Bad Bunny. Listen, I already told you I like him, man. In terms of his music, I like him. I listen to his music all the time. I have listened to a lot of his songs. Pick it. Cañita, Vete, Booker T, La Noche de la Noche, Mia, all these songs, right? So he's talented. He's a big deal in music. One of my best downloaded episodes of the year during WrestleMania season was me defending Bad Bunny as to why he was important. And by the way, I was right. I was right about all of it. And Bad Bunny, okay, Pat McAfee good, probably better. Because Bad Bunny, as I said, when we always talk about celebrities that come in and just, they mail it in, that was not what Bad Bunny did tonight. He delivered. He did a hell of a job. And he definitely benefited Damian Priest. No doubt about it. It was really that good. Miz and Morrison, the bunnies coming out. I knew we were going to do the hey hey hop hop thing, which was really funny. That was good. So they got that part, but then again, Bad Bunny overshadows the fact he gets the concert like intro. Like, it looks like something he would do at a concert. Like if he was doing a concert there, that would be kind of like a concert intro, and he'd come out and do his whole stage show, a couple of hours with lots of the hits, right? So the intro was really epic. It looked good. That should get some mainstream press. TMZ should be all over it, and other places. So Bad Bunny did good. He obviously did good with training. And he looked good out there. He looked good. He was making, maybe his punches are not great, but again, for where he's been and for how many months he's been training, you could tell he was interested. He was totally into this. This guy, as I said, had been a wrestling fan since he was a kid, and it's proven. He's not just a casual wrestling fan. This guy watches. He loves wrestling. He's one of us. And there's no doubt about it now. I think everybody now is all in line with Bad Bunny. Now they respect the hell out of him as a wrestler. And even the boys in the back can say, you did a good job, kid. And he was. He did really good. I mean, it's not, I don't think it'll be a career, but I mean, hell, he was able to pull off a very good match. Can't say that about Rob Gronkowski. You can't say that so much about, pick other stars. Or Snooki or others like that. This was just really good. This was really good. Damian Priest with the hot tag, significant. It needed to happen. Okay, they did have classic tag team philosophy. Damian Priest gets the hot tag, and what marked me the fuck out was Canadian Destroyer on the floor. Man, that was good. That was, and that was Bad Bunny saying, "Look, I got to do that. I got to do that," and he did it. He executed it great. That was impressive. Canadian Destroyer. The Bunny Destroyer, as Booker T called it. Booker T was having fun watching on commentary. He's like, this guy did a song for me. It was under my name. And look at him. He just impressed everybody in the damn crowd at WrestleMania. And by the way, Bad Bunny was super over. That crowd loved him. So the crowd, not only were they fans of his wrestling, fans of his music, they see him as a celebrity he is. He's an A-lister. He's the real deal. And this match was fun. The crowd loved it. He did really well. Damian Priest on the hot tag and whatever he had to do after that had a good look. Damian Priest looked good out there. And he has definitely benefited from Bad Bunny's presence throughout. There's not even a question of that. Damian Priest is another star that has a spotlight on him. So again, look at what we've had in just a couple of hours tonight. Automatically, you put the spotlight, right? You put the spotlight on Omos. You put the spotlight on Damian Priest. That's impressive. You couldn't get these guys over in 6 months on Raw the way they've been writing that show. You would have thought, what are you doing here? These guys would have never gotten over like they did by doing the way they do on Raw. But tonight on WrestleMania, they did. They got over. This was good. So, yeah, Pat McAfee's going to be a comparison coming to mind to many of those out there. But, again, Bad Bunny is not an athlete. He's not from the sports world. This guy came right in. And he more or less got it figured out. I mean, as good as you could do training to be a star. This guy sold. This guy did well, in the movesets. Was able to do some top rope leaps. He was good. He was good throughout the night. Him and Damian Priest having fun out there. And you could just tell Bad Bunny was having a great time out there. Good stuff. Very good match. Very good match. A really fun night. And then, again, there were no lulls in this night. Like everybody, like you could see the build-up. The Bad Bunny Damian Priest thing right there really got the people really up. And so, after that performance, and now Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair have to follow that up. Everything else they've already followed up. The Bobby Lashley win. Omos. Braun Strowman. And Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, man, that's some pressure to put on you. And see the start of the match. I know people are going to... There was a lot of talk for some people that, does Bianca Belair really deserve to be this spot? Well, for me, I'm going to say this. I mean, the Royal Rumble's the Royal Rumble. They position it where that star is going to get to be in that championship match because she picked the SmackDown champion to go after. This was a match I wanted to see. That was one thing, too. When it comes to the women, I don't put the same kind of level as the men. Because the women, I think you can automatically have some stars that come right up to the top because there's not much of a... To me, I feel like the men, there's a little more room for them to get over and to become at that main event level. For the women, I think you can definitely get women right away up to main event level. I saw it with Paige. I saw it with AJ Lee. I saw it with Becky Lynch. You see it with Charlotte Flair. You can see it with with Bayley at the time and Sasha Banks. They all just went immediate skyrocket. You just put a rocket on their back, they go up to the top. And that's just where it is. So Bianca Belair being at this spot made sense to me. And I mean, she had good matches. I mean, here's the thing. You could have done more and have her wrestling more. The one that she debuted, have more time when she was doing stuff. But again, she had so much we did on NXT, it made a much of a difference for her. And she stood out. And to get her here was one different story. Now, the start of the match, very special. Bianca getting choked up. You saw the look on her face. I was just like, wow. And Sasha's like, she's feeling the moment with her. But again, Sasha's already been here before. She's felt that moment. So she's understanding, she's the grizzled veteran here with the upstart, the star on the rise in Bianca Belair. And then, once they got themselves settled, they got into a very good match. Now, of course, there was a little bit of nervousness, we could tell. There was one spot I saw in there that was a bit of a botch, but it was handled well. It wasn't horrible. And really, the whole match was very well done. The bank statement reversal that they did in the match where, there was a point where you thought Bianca was going to tap. Then Sasha rolled back away from the ropes for Bianca then to roll back towards the ropes. That was a really good move. I like that. And again, somebody put on Twitter, they showed, I forgot what it was, where Becky Lynch got whipped with the damn hair, with the ponytail, and it was loud, and it looked like it hurt. And Sasha Banks was cringing watching from the back as Becky Lynch took this shot. Tonight, she took the shot, took that shot, and by the way, left a mark. I mean, she got whipped. That looked painful. But Sasha Banks, man, hell of a match. By the way, I feel bad for her, man. Somebody's pointing out the fact that she is not won at WrestleMania. She's 0-6. I don't know if that's going to be made a thing or not, if we hear anything about that. But I do feel bad that Sasha Banks has not had a WrestleMania win. That sucks for her, man. That's just too bad. I mean, she's had her victories in NXT takeovers, but the fact that the main roster has not had that win at WrestleMania, I mean, I don't know how she does that. I feel bad for her. But again, for Bianca Belair to get this moment was a feel-good moment. Like, again, she got this spot. And I can see where Sasha and Bianca can continue to go on with each other. Hopefully they'll get to continue their feud after this. I'd like to see them keep going. Because there's a lot more story to tell. And, a good reversal, and Bianca winning with her move to finish up the match. Large amount of expectations on this match, but they did really well. I mean, for what it was worth, it was a really good match. Again, wasn't perfect, but again, when you have that level of expectation, that's a tough act to follow. The rest of that card was tough to follow tonight, but they did really well. And again, night one, we've still got so much more WrestleMania to go, so it was good. Listen, overall, A-. That's about as good as you can get. Again, if the tag team turmoil match, with what they have, it's going to be tough because that tag team division is just tough in that women's side, period. But everything else was, above. Really, I think they overachieved tonight and put a lot of pressure on night two. Very much so. I think people were really happy with how things turned out at that show. They only went for tonight and not tomorrow night, but really good stuff overall. So kudos. The company gets a lot of praise from King of Podcasts tonight. They deserve it. There's a whole lot to say after this. Because, I mean, I can go ahead and keep going about how important it was, about some of the stars who were making some of the spotlights they were putting on people, and how important it is to follow through on this now. I mean, I can't stress it enough. We have to have follow through. We cannot wait for WrestleMania to get to this point and then it fails. This cannot happen. This is a great opportunity. And it's always with WrestleMania season, you would hope that you would get even more out of this. But man, it's the show itself that still helps out. And it did tonight. And it delivered. And this is the kind of delivery, it's not going to be at this scale all the time, but they need to understand that the way they deliver here on a night like tonight, this is what the crowd expects. This is what the fans want. And the fans responded greatly for it. This is what you have to give them. You got to stop thinking about, well, we're going to go ahead and force some people on their throats and we're going to do certain things. Like there's something to be said about how they're doing that this was different tonight. Great stuff. I hope the same thing for night 2 and we get even, just as much praise as we did tonight. Really great stuff by everybody all around. Wonderful night of WrestleMania. We're going to come back tomorrow, 24 hours or so from now, and we'll talk about night 2 again tomorrow night. Asuka versus Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's title. The Fiend with Alexa Bliss versus Randy Orton. Big E versus Apollo Crews. And a Nigerian drum fight for the Intercontinental title. I don't know how that's going to work out, but we'll see. Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn alongside Logan Paul. Riddle versus Sheamus for the United States title. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler with Reginald versus Natalya and Tamina for the women's tag team title. And then again, triple threat match, Universal title. Roman Reigns defends alongside Paul Heyman with versus Edge and Daniel Bryan. Which, yeah, on SmackDown, Edge delivered passionate, powerful promo. It's the kind of promo he does best. That is his promo. That's the one he can do best, among other things. And he did very well. Like Edge cut an Edge promo, a very memorable Edge promo, if you will, with some good lines. Daniel Bryan the same way. Anyway, we'll talk tomorrow, about 24 hours from now. So come back, enjoy night 2 of WrestleMania, and we'll come back for another Wrestling is Real podcast because wrestling needs us. Thank you for listening to the Wrestling is Real podcast. You can find all previous episodes at wrestlingisreal.com or subscribe to the show on all major podcast outlets, including Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Follow the King of Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at King of Podcasts, and search King of Podcasts on YouTube, or type youtube.com/JBRASCO951. This has been a presentation of the King of Podcasts Radio Network.